Hi ladies, it's Ziva here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in and joining me today. I did a poll on YouTube and I asked you if you wanted a story time from me, and majority of you wanted it, so here we go. Today I'm going to be delving into my not so angelic past, and I'm going to be telling you a story time from a while ago. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram because that's what it's there for. And also I have a story time playlist, so if you enjoy this you might want to watch more, so I will link that below and also in the cards, wherever that thing is. So let's get into this. Growing up, dancing was a big part of my life. I used to love singing, dancing, acting, and because of my passion for it, I was in Stagecoach. I used to go to various dance classes as well, and at one point in my life I was going to a particular dance class. I think at this point I was around 10 years old, and I would go to this dance class. There were two popular girls in this group and they were the most confident, the most outgoing. One day one of the popular girls was not in, and naturally the other popular girl was then talking to other people more because she didn't have her partner in crime there, and she really seemed to gravitate towards me for some reason. So at that point we kind of made a bit of a friendship and an alliance, and we knew each other for a long time because we were going to classes together every week. Then we started getting a bit more chummy, so I would stay at her house, she would come to my house, we would hang out together, and we were having like an actual friendship, you know, we were building a friendship. So years had passed and we were still friends and still in contact, but we weren't the best of friends. We would kind of speak more here and there. Fast forward now to me being almost 17, and this girl who I made friends with at my previous dance school, she played a big social role in my life at that point. She was a little bit of a bad girl, I would say, but she also had a really sweet side, and my mum really liked her. I was really accepted in her family as well, and we just had a nice friendship dynamic. She actually had a sister that we used to hang out with. At one particular time we were like regulars in a club, and we would go there every week without fail. I would usually go to her house first. We would have pre-drinks, have a giggle, listen to some music, you know, get ready together, and I would stay over at their house. Their mum was definitely more lenient than mine, but you know, my mum knew that we were going out and I was allowed to do those things. But in terms of time wise, my mum thought it would also be better for me to stay at my friend's house, so I was going home with people instead of us separating. So when I would go out, I would typically stay at her house. Staying at somebody's house and spending time with them, knowing her for years, we got quite chummy, and we weren't best friends, but we got really quite chummy, and I would have considered her someone that I, you know, really liked, really admired. And I also really liked her sister. She was really nice and we just all got on, but at the same time I definitely felt like I wasn't their best friend because I would see how they would treat someone else who was in their circle, and you could tell that they really gravitated towards her and me less than that. So I still knew that, okay, we're friends, but we're not the best of friends. So that's something that I used to have at the back of my mind, and that allowed me to kind of never really call them like best friends and get to that point, even though we used to spend a lot of time together at one particular point in my life. Every time we would actually go out and go to this club, we used to have this routine of playing music, getting ready together, laughing, drinking, and we just had a really good time. It kind of got us in the mood for going out and, you know, meeting guys and just having a good dance and feeling good. We just wanted to go out, be those girls and have a good time. So most of the time there were 3 of us, sometimes there were 4 of us as well. This one particular night we were supposed to go out and I just didn't want to because I was meeting someone who I was kind of seeing at the time. You know what it's like, girls, when you're kind of seeing someone and sometimes you might not go out with your friends because, you know, you want to hang out with him, or, you know, you guys want to do something. So this was the case for me, and there was someone that I was seeing who was, looking back on it now, okay, I don't know where my mindset was at. A couple of days later, my 17th birthday rolled around and my friends were like, no, you're definitely coming out with us next week. We didn't see you last week. We didn't see you for your birthday. We are going out. So the next week I went to their house like clockwork. We got ready together, listening to music, drinking alcohol, having a good time, and just getting in that party spirit, in that party mood. And I remember there was like talk about a couple of guys that they had both met the week before. So the week that I decided not to hang out with them, they met people at this club. And apparently these guys actually do go to this club as well. But I guess at the time that we were going, we would maybe miss them or something, I don't know. We typically used to get there at around 2 AM and it would close at 6. So we got there really late and we would only be there really for a few hours. One of the guys that my friend who I used to go to the dance school with, who she met, was actually a friend of one of my cousins, one of my guy cousins. So I kind of knew him and he used to hang out with my cousin quite a lot. So that's who she started talking to the week prior when I didn't go. And her sister met somebody who I had not heard of and I didn't know him, but she seemed to be really into him, and you know, she was just talking about him kind of non-stop and she couldn't wait to see him. But she hadn't seen him since the week before when they went to the club. So fast forward now to us arriving and we go into this club. My cousin's friend saw me and we were talking, so that was happening. Then I was introduced to his group of friends who he had with him. They were kind of like the cool guys at the club. They had, you know, I would say the most money, and they were just those kind of guys, you know, that were there. So I got introduced to his friends and instantaneously, I'm telling you, I swear I literally fell in love with someone who I saw, and not fell in love with, but just in the back of my mind I felt like this guy is everything I've ever wanted to kind of meet. He's just everything that I want to get to know, and why isn't he talking to me right now? That was kind of where my mindset was at, and he was the only person who wasn't really speaking to me. Everybody else was, and he wasn't. I was just thinking, what is really going on right now? Then I found out that the guy who I had my eye on was actually the guy who my friend's sister had met last week. Excuse me, that's not gonna work out because I had already planned our first date and us getting to know each other and this, that and the other, and now you're telling me that that's you. And then I was kind of like kicking myself not being there the week before, being there with that fool, when I could have been there meeting him and then they wouldn't have something going on already. So that was kind of where my mindset was at, but you know, I wasn't going to step on any toes, right? Right? Obviously, because we were there with the guys, you know, they kind of drove us home. They drove me home first because I lived closer, and then they were going obviously back to the girls' house. And we all know what that means. So at the end of the day, I wasn't there and I didn't observe anything. I didn't know what was going on over there. And it was just so, you know, at that age, sometimes you can just really feel like you're feeling things for someone just because you feel like you are attracted to them. So instantly you feel like that's something so special and amazing and wonderful. I was kind of at that stage and that's kind of how I felt. So let me just give you like the background on this guy and, you know, kind of how he was looking. So he was 6'1", and at that point I was still 5'1". So there was a big height difference. He was really tall, dark skin, African background, and he was one of those guys that just to me seemed like a puzzle. I just found him really intriguing, and I kind of was really interested. Next week, when getting ready, I swear I had my mind set on, look, I'm looking forward to seeing that guy today, but at the same time I know that he's seeing my friend's sister, and you know, I should be happy for her, but deep down I wasn't there, but I wanted to be there. So we went to the club. I didn't tell anyone how I was feeling or that I kind of found him attractive or anything. And we got to the club, and at one point my heels were hurting my feet so badly, so I sat down. Who do you think came and sat next to me? Okay, so he came and sat next to me, and he gave me a drink, and we were talking, sitting down for, I want to say, at least half an hour. So a solid 30 minutes laughing, just getting on, you know. And he knew of my cousin as well. They kind of knew of each other, and it was just one of those like high energy and good energy like conversations. So we were engrossed in that girl. Then I noticed we were being watched. So of course my sister, so I keep on saying my sister, my friend and her sister were watching and kind of talking, and they were wondering what is going on, why the person she just met is talking to me, why we're laughing like this, and what's going on. So I said to him, look, we better stop talking, because you know the girls are going to get a bit touchy, and it just comes across like I am being, like, it just comes across really fake, right? At the house I'm fine and I'm happy for her. Well, I'm telling her this, and then when we're actually at the club, I'm laughing and joking and having a good time, basically doing what she's supposed to be doing, but he's not over there with her, he's over there with me. So I don't think she liked that dynamic, and I went back over to them and they were like, what was he saying to you, blah blah blah, you know what girls are like. And I was just like, you know, we're just talking and laughing, you know, it's my cousin and we're having a conversation, I don't know what to tell you. So that was kind of my stance, and I was just honest up to a certain point. And then he drove me home. So the guy that my friend was seeing drove the girls back, and the guy who my friend's sister was seeing drove me home, and then he was going to go home. We didn't live too far car journey either, so it was a lot easier for him to drop me home. The girls lived a lot further out, so he wanted to go home. He had like church the next day or something, so he dropped me home. And I'm not gonna lie, we did actually exchange numbers, and from that point we started seeing each other. And it was behind my friend's back, it was behind my friend's sister's back, and this was going on not even for that long. I want to say maybe 2 weeks, and we would still turn up, go to the club together and try not to speak very much. And all the while he isn't really even interested in my friend's sister anyway. So he was never spending time alone with her. He would only see her at the club, and he wouldn't even speak to her there anyway. And he just wasn't interested anymore, and me and him were kind of getting on. In the end, I ended up coming out to them and just telling them what had been going on, because I felt like it was really two-faced, and I felt so bad hearing the sister talking about, I don't know why he's not into me and blah blah blah, and I just had to put it out there and say what had happened because it just didn't feel right to me. So it just wasn't sitting well with me, but at the same time I was really happy getting to know him. So at that point I had my first initial, I guess, two-faced experience. My first experience really taking someone's man. My first experience just being that way. I hadn't seen that side of myself before. So this is basically the story time of when I took somebody else's man, and I did it. It didn't feel good, but at the same time I was enjoying kind of the connection that I was building with him. My friend and her sister were upset initially that she had only known him for such a small amount of time. They weren't actually in a relationship. If they were, then I never would have done what I did. They weren't even in that kind of, it wasn't serious whatsoever. Like I said, they were unhappy at first, and then they kind of understood the more I spoke to them about it, and they had just accepted it. And I have to say, these two were really mature in that sense. They were just so understanding to me, and I think because they know my personality, I would never do that. I had never done anything like that before. They kind of knew that it just might feel right, and they were even saying that it seemed like me and him had more of a connection than the sister did. They were happy for me and egging me on, basically. So me and him continued seeing each other. Long story short, we did end up being in a relationship. I was around his parents, he came to mine, blah blah blah, and we just had a really nice, there was something really nice going on. Long story short, we did end up kind of breaking up, splitting up, but it was never on bad terms. And even if I saw him tomorrow, it wouldn't be bad terms. Me and the friend and the sister, we are not in communication at all, but not because of that. We did still talk for a long time after, just on and off, kind of how our friendship was before anyway. And then it just kind of fizzled out. Life happened, I guess, and we kind of just weren't hanging around each other as much. But again, there was still no hard feelings. When I would bump into them, it would be nothing but, you know, happiness, laughs and love, honestly. And that was how things were. We still kept in contact on Facebook. I know that she had children and blah blah blah, and I was happy for her, and you know, the sister is happy and life is just going well for everyone. So yeah, things all seemed good. So even though things divided with me and him and with me and the girls, it still was not on a sour note, and it was all love at the end of the day. So I guess that was my story on when I took a girl's man. Give this video a thumbs up for more story times. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell. I think you have to click that thing twice to be notified of all of my uploads and not just some uploads. So definitely okay, click the bell twice. And with that being said, I'm going to love you and leave you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.